Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very, very special edition of Live with Breathe America. I'm your host, Patrick Wickard. Tonight, we are actually not doing our Monday Modcast. We are going to be doing a very different show for you guys tonight than our normal Monday show. And the reason being is I felt that it was time now that I finally speak out on a topic that I've actually tried to avoid quite a bit. But I simply cannot avoid this any longer. We're going to talk about several different things tonight, but we're going to dive into COVID, and we're going to finally talk about COVID and my thoughts and an angle that I don't think anybody is really looking at. And honestly, you guys, I've been doing these shows for you guys for a while now, and it always goes back and forth in my head. Like, are we, what is it that you guys need from us, and what can we provide that will help you guys in your life? Whether it's with conversations that you're having or whether it's with your personal struggles and things like that, what can I do to help you guys? And a lot of times, especially in the beginning and even recently, I have stayed away from my personal beliefs on certain things in order to paint a different picture for people, to try to help offer, clarity and understanding. And, but this topic in particular is one that is affecting all of us. And I felt like it was time that we come out and do a show where we talk about COVID-19 and the implications of it. And the first thing we're going to start tonight's show off with is actually something that I addressed this morning in my morning thoughts. I would like to talk a little bit more about the situation on the United flight with the 2-year-old girl that refused to wear a mask. So we're going to show a couple of videos for you guys tonight, and we're going to show that video of her mother speaking at that time. And I know a lot of people have covered the story and are talking about it, and it's because it's newsworthy for sure. But I'm hoping to outline something different for you guys tonight, and I'm hoping to share a perspective with you that maybe a lot of us haven't thought about yet, and I'm hoping that helps us and helps you. So without anything else or without anything further, John, let's go ahead and get started with that. This is actually the video, and so if you haven't seen it, it's pretty short, so just bear with us and let's go ahead and watch this.
We just got kicked off the flight because our 2-year-old would not put on a mask, and we tried. I mean, I'm gonna put a video on. And they're sending all of our bags and Adeline's car seat to New York, and we're banned off of United forever because a 2-year-old would not put on a mask.
Okay? Kaya Musa ka ba ni? Ano man? Musa. Musa ka ba ni? Okay? Okay, ako yung para sa ito. Musa ka ba ni?
Do you want to try putting it on her?
Yes.
Adeline,
Musa ka ba ni?
And ladies and gentlemen, we're almost ready to go. So please put away your carry-on items, including your large electronic devices like laptops. Feel free to keep using.
Why? We're over here holding this mask on her face. I'm sorry, sir. I gave you another opportunity. I took an opportunity and I ran with it. You see this? I'm literally covering her face. I gotta keep it off. Do you guys do this all the time or what? Like, what? There's non-compliance yet. This is compliance. I'm literally holding it over my daughter's face. This is compliance right here.
We can't force her. She's literally holding it and she's crying.
You're gonna do this to us? Like right now? Yeah? Wow.
All right, let's go.
Your jacket's up there.
Okay. Go.
I'm not upset at you. I don't want you to think that I'm upset with you. I'm sorry? I'm not upset with you. I just think that it's so stupid how you enforce this so strict
It is.
It makes zero sense.
There's no compliance.
This
There's
virus
no
has a 99% survival rate. You know what I mean? Like, if we use our minds, what happens now?
You
You book us first class to New York?
no, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can't fly me. You can't fly me. Right?
So we're barred off United.
Yes. Well, man, you told me that, you know, I don't know what-
Because our 2-year-old daughter would not put on a mask. Not us, but our 2-year-old daughter.
I did it. I did it.
What do you mean you get it? But like I don't understand.
You should say
She's 2. She's literally 2.
What are you guys doing? Seriously.
There's a no tolerance policy.
What do you mean? We've flown all summer. She's flown with us. And they never had this policy. It was under 5. She's 2. How are you going to enforce a 2-year-old?
That's the rules.
Okay. So what are we doing? We're gonna guys, like, what happens now?
We
All
have
right, John, go ahead and cut it right there. So first off, I think it's important to say this, that, you know, to that couple, I think they handled that situation really, really well. It could have gotten a whole lot worse. For the decision made by the airline to remove a family because a 2-year-old, pretty sure that's a mistake that's going to cost them in the long run. They've already come out and apologized, and they're already backpedaling quite a bit. But unfortunately, the damage is done. And this morning, I talked a lot about this particular situation from a position of letting fear rule your life, and I still believe that strongly. That we are allowing fear to dictate policy and to dictate the way businesses, as a business owner, how people do things and so on and so forth. And when we do that, we literally stop living. Fear is a liar, you guys. And whatever it is that you're afraid of, it has to do with an outcome that hasn't happened. We are afraid of things that we don't know. We're afraid of things that haven't happened. You're not afraid of anything that's already happened, because it's already happened, right? So I just wanted to touch on that, and I wanted to highlight that story because it ties directly into this COVID-19 thing that we haven't talked about. So COVID-19 is a virus that affects people differently across the spectrum. And right now in this country, everything that can be done is being done to develop a vaccine for the treatment of COVID-19. The question I want to ask you guys is it possible that by focusing all of our efforts and energy on finding a vaccination for this disease, for this virus, are we missing an opportunity that that's already there? Was there another avenue? Did we miss something? So I want to jump into another video. And the video is about 10 minutes long, and we're going to stop it a few times along the way. And I want to highlight some points for you guys because I think it's really important. But you guys, this is a video that I think everybody needs to see. And I think we all need to take into consideration what is being said here. Now, to give you a little bit of backstory, this was held at a Homeland Security briefing, which we'll talk more about here in a little bit. But this is a doctor that is definitely dealing with COVID-19, and I'm just going to go ahead and let the video speak for itself for right now, and I will commentate a certain aspects of it here, as we go through. So go ahead and start it, John.
Ryder. Our next witness is here in person, Dr. Pierre Corey. Dr. Corey is the former associate professor and chief of the critical care service and medical director of the Trauma and Life Support Center at the University of Wisconsin, and recently joined the ICU service at Aurora St. Luke Medical Center in Milwaukee. He is board certified in critical medicine, pulmonary diseases, and internal medicine. Dr. Corey has traveled across multiple states in the U.S. to care for COVID-19 patients throughout the pandemic. He is also the president of the Frontline COVID-19 Critical Care Alliance, a nonprofit organization of critical care specialists led by Professor Paul Merrick, whose mission over the last 9 months has focused on the research and development of effective treatment protocols for COVID-19 using repurposed drugs. He received his MD from St. George's University School of Medicine. And I'll only add that we added Dr. Corey very late to our hearing in May, because I'd heard of his development of I guess, anti-inflammatory steroids in critical care on COVID. And Dr. Corey, I have to tell you, I've had doctors come up to me and thank me for holding that hearing where they listened to you, change their thinking. They believe they've saved their patients' lives because of your testimony. At that hearing, I hope your testimony will be as impactful today. Dr. Corey.
Senator, thank you, and thank you for holding this hearing.
Hey, John, go ahead and pause it right there. You guys, one of the things that I want to highlight right here, right at the get-go, is this man's credentials.
I just read
This is not somebody. This is a very, very well-trained doctor and somebody who's been doing this for a while and obviously knows what he's talking about. So that's the first thing I want to highlight about this was his credentials, the jobs that he works. And they're going to talk more about it here in a second. But the plea that this doctor makes is something that we all need to hear. So go ahead, John. Let's get it started again.
I just want to start out. I didn't think I'd have to say this, but I want to register my offense at the ranking member's opening statement. I was discredited as a politician. I am a physician and a man of science. I have done nothing but commit myself to scientific truth and the care of patients. And to hear that I'm here because of a political angle, I am not a politician, I'm a physician. I want to start out by saying that I'm not speaking as an individual, I'm speaking on behalf of the organization that I'm a part of. We are a group of some of the most highly published physicians in the world. We have near 2,000 peer-reviewed publications among us, led by Professor Paul Marik, who's our intellectual leader. We came together early on in the pandemic, and all we have sought is to review the world's literature on every facet of this disease, trying to develop effective protocols. You just mentioned that I was here in May, and I recommended that it was critical that we use corticosteroids in this disease when all of the national and international healthcare organizations said we cannot use those. That turned out to be a life-saving recommendation. I am here again today with a new recommendation. In the last 9 months, in our review of all of the literature as a group, again, we are some of the most highly published physicians in our specialty and the world. We have done nothing but try to figure out how to identify a repurposed and available drug to treat this illness. We have now come to the conclusion after 9 months, and I have to point out, I am severely troubled by the fact that the NIH, the FDA, and the CDC, I do not know of any task force that was assigned or compiled to review repurposed drugs in an attempt to treat this disease. Everything has been about novel and or expensive pharmaceutically engineered drugs, things like tocilizumab and remdesivir and monoclonal antibodies and vaccines. We have 100 years of medicine development. We know we are expert in all the medicines we use, and I do not know of a task force that has been focused on repurposed drugs.
So there's a couple of things I want to talk about right there in the beginning. Number one, I don't know who the person in charge of that hearing is, but if you're going to try to discredit a doctor with these kind of credentials who comes in to testify on his findings and what this organization who has been so highly educated and you know, they like he stated that they have over 2,000 peer-reviewed studies. Like, are you kidding me? This guy is at the top of his field. This guy is as good as it gets as an expert on the things that he's speaking about. And to be discredited as a political play at a Homeland Security hearing in the middle of a pandemic as a doctor, what a joke. Are you kidding me? What a joke. That, my friends, is exactly why nobody believes what we're being told about COVID, because we have politicians that have turned it into a political issue and has nothing to do with your health anymore. So I don't really care what you believe as far as COVID goes. If it, you know, some people think it's nothing. Some people think it's, you know, the worst thing ever, you know, and, you know, I myself, it's somewhere in between, you know, but the fact of the matter is when experts can't speak out against these things or report their findings, and the fact that he's calling out the FDA, the CDC, and the NIH, is pretty shocking to me. Why are these organizations not looking into repurposing drugs that already exist? You know what the benefit of using a repurposed drug is? You know, if you have a medication that's already been approved and through the FDA process, it's already been approved. And it doesn't have to go through the stringent approval process that most medications have to go through. Now, I realize that COVID's different. It doesn't have to follow the same guidelines and rules. But if we have a medication with a proven track record, why are we not looking at those? And we have a medication that they have people that have studied. Because let me ask you this: do you think this guy, with all his expertise and all of his studying and all this time he's put into this, do you think he would sit in front of a Congress or a Homeland Security hearing, a Senate hearing, and put his reputation on the line if he didn't believe what he was about to say? I'd ask that guy. I'd ask you guys that question first. Second of all, how dare they try to discredit this man as a political witness? That's absolutely ridiculous to me. And I want to commend that man for actually standing up to those people and telling them, you know, that he is a physician. And you know what, that takes a lot of courage in that situation to do that. So I want that man to know that I respect what he did there. Go ahead, John. Let's keep going.
I will tell you that my group and our organization, I will say that we have filled that void. That is all we have done, is focus on the things we know and things we do. And I'm here to tell you, Dr. Reiter, he just presented. He has one study of the many that I want to talk about. And I want to talk about that we have a solution to this crisis. There is a drug that is proving to be of miraculous impact. And when I say miracle, I do not use that term lightly. And I don't want to be sensationalized when I say that. That is a scientific recommendation based on mountains of data that has emerged in the last 3 months. When I am told, and I just had to hear this in the opening sentence, that we are touting things that are not FDA or NIH recommended, let me be clear. The NIH, their recommendation on ivermectin, which is to not use it outside of controlled trials, is from August 27th. We are now in December. This is 3 to 4 months later. Mountains of data have emerged from many centers and countries around the world showing the miraculous effectiveness of ivermectin. It basically obliterates transmission of this virus. If you take it, you will not get.
All right, guys, I'm in my super sick car and I'm at my super sick.
I guess we're going to pause it right there while John works that out. So the medication he's talking about is ivermectin. And it's not very often that you hear a physician like this, a man like this, in a situation like this, describe something as a miraculous impact on COVID-19. He literally just called it a miracle based on mountains of evidence that they have, mountains of evidence. Is that something that you think that the CDC should be looking at, the FDA should be looking at, the people that decide whether or not a medication can be used in the treatment of any specific illness? Do you think that mountain of evidence should be looked at? I personally think it should. And I've dug into these studies a little bit further, not much, just a little bit. So I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of expert, but some of the studies are pretty remarkable as to what this medication is doing. And this medication, which I've never heard about until I heard about this through this, is pretty amazing in and of itself. So the fact that we have these tools already available to us and we just have to apply it the right way. Why is this something that we are not looking at? I mean, do we not want to end this bullshit that we're living in, where 2-year-old girls get kicked off planes for not wearing masks, where our kids don't go to school, where we don't get to interact with our family and our friends on holidays, where we don't get to go to birthday parties with our loved ones? I mean, is that not the goal? Is not the goal here to be done with coronavirus? Like, is that not the end goal? Because if that's not what we're doing, then I'm confused. Like, seriously, I'm confused, because I thought the goal was to create or to come up with a solution for this problem to where we wouldn't have to worry so much about it, right? To where we could get this taken care of. That is the goal, ladies and gentlemen. That is what they're supposed to be working towards. And this doctor, as you can see, he's very passionate. He's just described to us something miraculous. So, John, let's go ahead and continue rolling this thing if we're ready. All right, we're ready. And guys, pay attention to what he's saying and how he's describing this medication, not only just where it comes from, like what it's for and what they use it for, but what it's doing with COVID.
Sick. I want to briefly summarize the data. My manuscript, again, published by some of the most, we have contributed more to the medical knowledge of our specialty in our careers than anyone else can claim as a group. And our manuscript, which was posted on Medicine preprint server, details all of this evidence. I want to briefly summarize it. Number one, we have evidence that ivermectin is effective not only in prophylaxis, in the prevention. If you take it, you will not get sick. We just came across a trial last night from Argentina by the lead investigator of ivermectin in Argentina, Dr. Hector Carvalho. They prophylaxed 800 healthcare workers. Not one got sick. In the 400 that they didn't prophylax with ivermectin, 58% got sick. 237 of those 400 got sick. If you take it, you will not get sick. It has immense and potent antiviral activity. We know that from the first study in Monash, it has made the bench to the bedside. Prophylaxis, we now have 4 large randomized controlled trials totaling over 1,500 patients, each trial showing that as a prophylaxis agent, it is immensely effective. You will not get sick. You will be protected from getting ill if you take it. In early outpatient treatment, we have 3 randomized controlled trials and multiple observation as well as case series showing that if you take ivermectin, the need for hospitalization and death will decrease. The most profound evidence we have is in the hospitalized patients. We have 4 randomized controlled trials there, multiple observation trials, all showing the same thing. You will not die, or you will die at much, much, much lower rates. Statistically significant, large magnitude results if you take ivermectin. It is proving to be a wonder drug. It has already won the Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2015 for its impacts on global health in the eradication of parasitic diseases. It is.
Go ahead and pause it there, John. Let it catch up. So I want to highlight this again because this is important. This medication has won a Nobel Peace Prize for what it's done with the eradication of parasitic diseases. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a drug that has already been put through FDA trials. It has already been approved and has already been a stellar success of our medical system. And it is shown, like, I don't think we can state this any clearer. I don't think he could state it any clearer. If you take this, you won't get it. So when he's speaking prophylactically, that means giving it to people before they are exposed to the coronavirus. And they did this with frontline workers in Argentina, 800 of them. And then they had 400 that they didn't. It's a pretty good sized study. The results, all the people they gave it to, nobody got sick. The ones they didn't, 58%, I think he said. Here's what really pisses me off. Why are these studies not being done here? Why are we, the United States of America, not testing this medication prophylactically here in the States for ourselves? Why are we relying on information that is coming from other places? And you want to know the answer to that? The answer to that is because the FDA won't let us. The FDA won't let doctors like this do these kind of things. You know, Austin, maybe. I don't know, bro. I don't know. It does seem to boil down to money. It does seem to boil down to money. It's a dangerous time that we live in because people don't take responsibility anymore. If you don't agree with somebody, you can simply post on social media that they were wrong or speak out against them and completely ruin their reputation, even if they are 100% right. People have died because politicians have decided not to listen to him. That should outrage everyone, no matter what politician or political affiliation you are, and no matter what your stand is on COVID. Kerry, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. At the end of the day, this medication needs to be going through trials here. We need to get this thing approved so we can use it prophylactically here. frontline workers, we're talking about mandating a vaccination for them that hasn't even been through proper trials. And I don't care what anybody says, it hasn't been through proper trials. It hasn't met the same rigorous standard that every other vaccination and every other medication in the United States that the FDA does approve has had to meet. So therefore, the standard that this vaccination has met is not the standard level of that we're used to. So I cannot, and I won't take it. But this medication that's proven, that's been through a proper trial, that's been tested, that's had the effect it's had, like, we have a lot of information on this one. So why are we not looking into this? Why is the FDA not allowing us to test this? These are questions that we have to be asking. And these are questions that should be seriously upsetting to every single one of us. This is not a political issue as far as I'm concerned. This isn't an issue on whether or not you think COVID is viable or not, or real, or a scam. No, this has nothing to do with that. Why are we not getting the right information? Why is this drug being blocked? Why does this guy have to go and even speak at a Homeland Security event or hearing or a Senate hearing when he literally, he's already published the report? The FDA should already be looking. Why are they not looking at it? I don't know. John, let's keep going before I just blow my head.
Is proving to be an immensely powerful antiviral and anti-inflammatory agent. It is critical for its use in this disease. We, again, stand by our manuscript. It is a scientific manuscript. It's been submitted for peer review. But please recognize, peer review takes time. It takes months. We do not have months. We have 100,000 patients in the hospital right now dying. I'm a lung specialist. I'm an ICU specialist. I've cared for more dying COVID patients than anyone can imagine. They're dying because they can't breathe. They can't breathe. They're on high flow oxygen delivery devices. They're on non-invasive ventilators, or they're sedated and paralyzed and attached to mechanical ventilators that breathe for them. And I watch them every day. They die. By the time they get me in the ICU, they're already dying. They're almost impossible to recover. Early treatment is key. We need to offload the hospitals. We are tired. I can't keep doing this. If you look at my manuscript, and if I have to go back to work next week, any further deaths are going to be needless deaths. And I cannot be traumatized by that. I cannot keep caring for patients when I know that they could have been saved with earlier treatment, and that drug that will treat them and prevent the hospitalization is ivermectin. I am here today. I'm calling to action. The NIH, their last recommendation was August 27th. August 27th. I want to be clear. I am not here as a politician or a dramatist or sensationalizing what I'm recommending. I'm going to be very clear and very simple. All I ask.
We are being censored.
I feel what that doctor's saying. I really do. I can't imagine having that job and having to go to work every day and watch people die when they don't have to, and they don't have to. I can imagine that is the worst feeling in the world. I can't. Like, how helpless does that man have to feel to be involved in this organization that tracks this stuff down, finds this information, finds the data, finds the right data, and then gets told that they won't look at it. This guy is literally sitting there, and what he's about to say that you guys didn't see yet. Actually, you know what, John? Let's go ahead and finish this up, and we'll go.
Of all of the emerging data. We have almost 30 studies. Everyone is reliably and reproducibly positive, showing the dramatic impacts of ivermectin. Please, I'm just asking that they review our manuscript. It is a serious manuscript by serious, highly experienced physicians and researchers. I cannot call on more credibility than we have. We're not just a random doctor who's saying that we have a cure. I don't want to say I have a cure. I'm just asking, review our data. We have immense amounts of data to show that ivermectin must be implemented and implemented now. Senator, the last thing I want to say is, you know who's dying here? It's our African-American and Latino and elderly. It's some of the most disadvantaged and impoverished members of our society. They are dying at higher rates than anyone else. It's the most severe discrepancy I've seen in my medical career. And we are responsible to protect those disadvantaged members. We have a special duty to provide countermeasures. The amount of evidence to show that ivermectin is life-saving and protective is so immense, and the drug is so safe. My colleagues have talked about it. It must be instituted and implemented. I'm asking the NIH to review our data and come up with recommendations.
At the end of the day, this man is simply asking that the NIH review his manuscript. A manuscript that was composed by a group of doctors that has a level of expertise that you could only dream of to deal with an issue like this. And to come out with a recommendation to use this as a preventative medication for COVID-19. If you take it, you will not get sick. The medication is safe. It's already been through trials. And this man is literally pleading with them to do that at a Senate hearing. This morning, during my morning thoughts, I asked, have we really come to this place where we're that afraid? Are we this afraid that a 2-year-old is seen as a threat? Now, I want to ask you guys this. What should you really be afraid of? Should you be afraid of a 2-year-old not wearing a mask? Or should you be afraid of a system that doesn't allow a life-saving medication like this to become available for people, or to at least be reviewed, to where these doctors have to sit in front of a Senate hearing and demand, just beg. The man is literally begging them to just simply review the data. I'll tell you what scares me more, and it sure as hell isn't a 2-year-old. Why we are in this situation, how we got here, I don't want to know. But here's what I know needs to happen. This video, the link to it we will put in the comments, needs to be shared. If you want to share this show, share my thoughts, share your thoughts, get it out there. People need to see this. People need to be talking about this. Every single American, every single person on the planet Earth should know the word ivermectin now. Should know the name of that medication, should be asking about it. Get the questions. Get it out there. And I know a lot of people are commenting it's about the money, or it's this, or it's that. You know what? We the people decide, right? This is our country. If we demand it, if we come together and we demand it, get looked at, it will be looked at. At the end of the day, this is our country. I would much rather take a drug that's been around for 40 years than take a vaccine that hasn't had enough yet. Heather, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I am 100% with you. How about a drug that's actually won the Nobel Peace Prize? You know, I mean, that's probably a pretty good one, right? They probably look into that a little bit. But you guys, we the people, it is time. It is time. I'm not telling you that COVID isn't real. I'm not telling you that it's this or that. What I'm telling you is we have options that don't involve rewriting our DNA with sketchy medications that they've come out with in the last 8 months. And sketchy, I think, is giving them is being a little too kind. Like, seriously, I think that's being too kind. This stuff absolutely is effective. They've proven it. Look at the data. Look at the data yourself. These studies are public. You can pull up his study itself and look at the 30 different studies that they're touting. You guys, we have a real chance here to let our voices be heard. It is time to come together and start talking about ivermectin. It is time to come together and start talking about the fact that this medication isn't being allowed to even be looked at in this country, when in other countries they're having huge success with it. Why? Is it possible, by chance, is it possible that they want the vaccine? And when I say they, I mean the people that are making it. The FDA, who is owned pretty much by Big Pharma. Anybody that doesn't know that is not paying attention. They decide. Big Pharma decides. They decide what drugs you can take, what treatments you can get. If you're okay with that, okay, then you're okay with that. I'm not talking to the people that are okay with that. I'm talking to the people that are not okay with big pharma deciding what medications we can take and which medications we can't. Because you know what? If we have a medication out there that is that effective as a proactive, then I want my kids to have it, and I want them to go back to school. And I want to be able to have Christmas morning with my family and my friends. I want to be able to go to barbecues this next summer, and I want my life to go back to what it was. I don't want to sit here and watch people live in fear and give up their freedoms and give up their liberties over a disease that there is actually something we can do for it. And maybe ivermectin's not the answer, but maybe it is if we would simply look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, please, next Thursday, we're bringing on another guest. It's a doctor, actually. We're going to bring a doctor on, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to have a great conversation, and we're going to be going over a lot of this stuff, right? We're going to be talking about this. It's going to be a really great show, and I hope that you guys tune in for it. But please, share this video. Get it out there. The people need to know that this is going on. And, you know, how many of us don't see Senate hearings? You know, is the media talking about it? You see this on the news? No. Were there news cameras there? Yeah, oh yeah, there was. They know. It's just not newsworthy. How the hell is this not newsworthy? Seriously. That should seriously piss every single one of us off. Like, I don't get it. How is this not newsworthy? A medication that's shown this prophylactically effective and also effective in the treatment of it. Like, you guys, this shit pisses me off. Straight up pisses me off. It is an absolute joke that this stuff isn't being looked at. But anyways, yes, the news was there. They know, but this just isn't newsworthy for them. At least not yet. Maybe they'll use it later when they need to change the story from something else that they don't want us looking at anymore. But ladies and gentlemen, please tune in Thursday for another episode of Live with Breathe America. Like I said, we're going to be sitting down with a doctor and going over a bunch of different stuff. And again, you guys, I want you to know that this is about actually educating ourselves in what's out there and finding the most reliable data that we can find to go off of. And that is exactly what this group of highly accredited doctors have done. And they've been doing it for the last 9 months. You can't ask for a better group of people to be getting your information from than these guys. So please look into these studies, check it out for yourselves. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to see some posts about this inside of Breathe America. And you guys, you know what? You know I love you, but at the end of the day, this is about being better, right? It's about us making the decision to be better every single day. And holding these people accountable is definitely being better, because they have gotten away with this for far too long, and it's time that they don't anymore. It's time that we let common sense have something to do with how we're treated, and we get more active involved in these kind of things. You guys, be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. Have an amazing night, and I will see you guys on Thursday.